Episode 1 of The Boroughs begins with a shot of The Boroughs, a retirement community town. An old woman named Grace video calls her husband Edward, who is placed in the manor. He tells her that the owl is in the walls before the orderlies make him put the phone down. That night, a creature with spindly legs attacks Grace in her house. She runs out and calls for help, but the spindly arms pull her back inside. We then move to Sam Cooper, whose daughter Claire and grandchildren are driving him to the Boroughs. A woman named Kaylee welcomes Sam, who moves into Grace's old house. When Kaylee introduced him to Seraphim, an AI application that can connect him to a 24/7 call service, Sam throws the machine out. We learn here that Sam's wife wanted to move here, not him. She has since passed away, but the company won't let him out of the contract, and that's why he's there. Now he bids Claire goodbye and the rest of the family drives away. Soon, a neighbour named Jack comes over and introduces himself to him. They chat for a bit and Jack invites Sam for a welcome barbecue at his house, but Sam isn't really interested in socialising with these guys. In the morning, Sam is awoken from a dream about his wife Lily, jolted awake by the sound of a car revving. We then introduced to Judy and Art, a couple in the neighbouring house. Judy used to work as a journalist and now digs up some information on Sam. Sam heads to an administration office and asks to meet Blaine Shaw, the company CEO. The receptionist is trying to make him an appointment when the music playing on the speakers triggers a memory. A flashback then shows Lily and Sam dancing when she suddenly gets an attack and collapses. And at the town's community centre, a woman named Renee calls the security guards for a robbery case. She says her rose quartz is missing, but the head security guard, Hank, doesn't take her seriously, assuming she's just being a confused old woman. Now when Renee's car wakes Sam up in the morning again, he approaches her with his toolkit and fixes the car so it won't make noise. She tries to thank him, and when he replies in a rather terse manner, she tells him off for being a grouch. As Sam returns to his house to find Edward there. He's got a knife and is currently tapping the walls with it. Edward talks about the owl in the walls and then attacks Sam. Sam calls for help and the orderlies arrive to take Edward away. Hank arrives on the scene not long after and tells Sam that the town doesn't have an official police force since it's not legally a town. When Sam insists on calling the sheriff, Hank takes him to the manor to see Blaine Shaw. The manor is where patients requiring more assistance are currently housed, where Sam sees Blaine helping an old woman with her food. Blaine apologises for the incident, and he also knows Sam wants out of his contract and offers the same, as long as Sam won't call the sheriff. Sam agrees. Blaine also says that Edward wants to apologise. He takes Sam to see Edward, who is medicated and does actually apologise to Sam. Afterwards, Blaine hands Sam the contract, but advises that he consider staying as it might be the less lonely option. Sam thinks about it and then stops by Jack's house, telling him that the barbecue would be a good way to meet the other neighbours. And at the party, Sam is introduced to Judy, Art, and a new character we learn is called Wally. Renee is also here too. During the party, Sam realises that the woman Jack likes is none other than Judy. Sam seems to be having a decent time when Judy begins to choke on something. Jack helps her out and she seems to be okay, but it triggers memories of Lily's death again. Sam walks back home, but Jack soon joins him. Sam vents about how the world moves on even though Lily is dead, and Jack offers some comfort and tells him that the Boroughs can be a place to live again. That night, Sam calls Blaine and leaves a message saying that he's decided to stay at the Boroughs. He then finally unpacks his things and settles into the house. However, he's woken up in the middle of the night by a beeping sound coming from Jack's house. When Jack doesn't open the door, Sam breaks in. In the bedroom, he sees a strange alien creature leaning over Jack and sucking something from his face while the health monitor beeps loudly. When the creature notices Sam, it tries to attack him and then quickly escapes on spidery legs. Episode 2 of The Boroughs begins with Jack's death. As the paramedics take his body away, a medical officer gives Sam a checkup. When Sam says he saw some kind of animal attacking and killing Jack, the officer tells him to go to the hospital and get his head checked out. Now in the morning, Claire gives her father a call and checks in on him. While talking to her about the incident with Edward, Sam recalls what the old man had been saying about the owl in the walls. In the neighbouring house, Art tries to make Judy a nice breakfast, but she seems to be swallowed up in grief for Jack. He heads out for golfing, but we soon learn that he's heading outside the Boroughs property. Meanwhile, other women in the town discuss Jack's upcoming memorial. Renee is surprised to learn that the other women have lost their quartz possessions as well, including half a chess set and a set of coasters. As for Wally, he goes to the doctor for another checkup and tells him about alternative treatments for prostate cancer. The doctor points out that Wally is a doctor himself and knows that his methods won't work. Renee and the other women go to the security office here, where Paz agrees to file a report about the missing quartz as long as Renee agrees to go out with him for dinner. Sam meanwhile heads to the manor and meets Edward, asking him about the owl in the walls. Edward says he caught an owl and tells Sam that the key is in the light. Outside the property, Art goes to a rundown shack where he has been growing mushrooms and has befriended a crow named Brooksky. He talks to the crow about how he knew Jack and Judy were having an affair, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want Judy to leave him. Now Wally and Renee go coffin shopping for the former, where he tells her that he's tired of all the tests and wants the rest of his time to be filled with cocktails and chaos. He's tired of waiting for a miracle. Judy goes to Jack's house to grieve, holding his shirt close to herself. She finds Sam's hammer and returns it to him, asking him if Jack died peacefully. She seems a bit suspicious about the holes in Sam's replies, and after she's gone, Sam begins to check all the lights in his house, looking for the key that Edward mentioned. After undoing all the light fixtures in the house, Sam finally finds said key in the bathroom light. It leads to a storage facility. Meanwhile, Hank tells Paz that a quartz thief has been caught in Albuquerque and tells him to close the case. Paz meets Renee and tells her about the thief, but he reveals that the Albuquerque police never actually found the quartz. Hank was lying. So Paz and Renee work together instead and set up cameras to catch the thief. And as they talk, we learn that Paz is a drummer and that Renee used to be a manager. Now back in his shed, Art hears a mysterious yowl. Suddenly, Brooksky goes crazy, flapping around everywhere and ends up hitting something and dying. Soon, whole flocks of birds fly overhead and then dive straight into the ground. Sam goes to the storage facility and unlocks one of the units. Inside, he finds a wooden chest and breaks it open only to reveal a stuffed owl inside. Sam takes said owl home and finds Kaylee waiting to check in on him. He sends her away and is watching TV inside when he sees a mysterious blue glow near the kitchenette. Now elsewhere, Jack's memorial takes place with Blaine kicking it off with a speech. Sam turns up and asks Wally to come with him, but Judy grows frustrated with all their muttering and yells at them to keep quiet. Having caused a bit of a scene, she leaves. She ends up crossing paths with Blaine's wife, Annalise, and they both talk about how this place can be too much sometimes. Judy later goes home and tries to talk to Art, but he's too enamoured by the bird incident to talk about Jack. Now meanwhile, Sam does bring Wally back home. There, he shows Wally what he's been experimenting on in the last few hours. He takes a bit of the creature's blood from the hammer, which he used to hit the creature, and places it on a spoon. He puts said spoon right in front of the television, which is on, and in a few minutes the blue gunk begins to glow and writhe. It floats up and eventually bursts, filling the living room with little dots of blue light. Episode 3 of The Boroughs begins with Judy seeing the mysterious blue glow from Sam's house. She peeks through the window and sees him and Wally put the hammer inside a plastic bag. Judy sees Wally heading over to Sam's with a box full of things and comments on how they've been spending the last few days together. Wally makes a vague excuse about helping Sam put something together and leaves. Now in Sam's house, Sam and Wally set up a machine called the HPLC to help them with their research. That's when Neil, Claire's husband, arrives, asking for one of Lily's Bruce Springsteen albums. Sam says he hasn't found it yet. When Neil offers a book on grieving, Sam pushes Neil to go back quickly. However, Neil reminds him that Claire is going through her own grief as well. After using the HPLC, Wally realises that the creature has right-handed chirality, as opposed to all the other living beings on Earth, which have left-handed chirality. So it proves that Sam didn't imagine things. However, Wally has also used up all of the creature's blood from the hammer. His next idea is to sneak into the funeral home to conduct an autopsy on Jack and find out what the creature was doing in his mouth. Out in the desert, Art buries Brooksky while talking about his search for the diving, for proof that there is more to life. That night, Sam and Wally head out to the funeral home and break the lock. Whilst there, Sam hallucinates his wife's name on one of the reefs. Suddenly, Judy jumps out at them. She knows they know something about Jack and threatens to pull the fire alarm if they don't tell her. They mention that he was murdered and that the answer lies with Jack's body. And at the same time, Renee gets an alert from the security cameras she and Paz set up and calls him. She then heads over to the community centre where she hears noises and finds a box of quartz spilled out onto the floor. Paz shows up by then as well, and they look through the footage and see that the part of the video showing whatever pushed the box of quartz is blurred out. Paz puts it down to a bad camera. At the funeral home, Judy and Sam step away while Wally conducts the autopsy. She tells the story of how she and Art fell in love during the counterculture era, decided how to live their lives, and even opened the door to have sex with other people. The only rule was, don't fall in love. But Judy did fall in love with Jack. Done with the autopsy, Wally calls the others in and shows them puncture marks in his throat, which end up connecting to the base of his brain, like the creature was eating Jack. Elsewhere, Renee and Paz keep talking. Renee tells him about her business with her husband, who later took all the money. He tells her about needing to get a job for his sister's surgery, and as they get cozy together, Hank enters the storeroom and examines the box of quartz with an odd looking device. It picks up a handprint on it, but he doesn't seem too fazed. He then gets a call from someone who noticed people inside the funeral home. Now in the desert, Art continues to walk through the remains of the dead birds. He comes across an old wooden construction where the door keeps banging, and he decides to go inside. Now in the funeral home, Wally examines Judy and Sam and realises they both have the marks on the back of their throat as well. This means the creature has also been feeding on them. Now Hank arrives then and breaks the group up, and Judy and Wally hide while Sam lets Hank arrest him, saying that he wanted to say goodbye to Jack. We then see the creature sneaking into Renee's house and sucking something from her mouth while she sleeps next to Paz. At the same time, Art walks through a hidden path and finds a magical tree shining with otherworldly light. He picks an orange fruit which is covered in glitter, and this glitter heals the cut on Art's hand in a few seconds. The episode then ends as he takes a bite of the fruit. Episode 4 of The Boroughs begins with Art going into a store to buy some water. He soon realises that he doesn't need his glasses or his hearing aid, and his hair isn't grey any longer either. When a burglar tries to rob the store, Art is able to take him down. Meanwhile, Sam gets in trouble for being found in a funeral home. Blaine Shaw speaks to Sam, who insists that a creature killed Jack. Blaine offers a twisted version of the boy who cried wolf as a warning to Sam to let the wolf be and live a long life in the village. Blaine ends the visit with the shocking news that Edward is dead. He passed in his sleep. Cryptically, Blaine says Edward kept talking about seeing monsters. At Renee's place, Paz tries to plan another date with her, but she isn't too keen on going out with him in public. She knows how people look at an older woman and a younger man and doesn't want to put them through that. However, Paz takes this to mean she doesn't think he's worth it and storms out the door. As Sam returns home and tells Judy and Wally that he thinks Blaine is covering it all up. He also thinks Blaine killed Edward. Since they can't tell anyone what they know, Sam says he will try killing the monster instead. Art returns to the community town in the middle of this, still eating that fruit and filled with renewed vigour. He goes golfing, dancing and swimming. Not all at the same time though, obviously. The main trio wonders how to trap the creature. Wally comes up with an idea, assuming that the creature is eating cerebrospinal fluid, and suggests they use a vial of that fluid as bait. Unfortunately, this means that Wally uses a syringe to get the fluid right out of Sam. At the security office, a pair of bickering neighbours arrive. Hank is telling them off when Blaine steps in and tells Hank to treat his residents more kindly. He leaves Paz with the complainants and takes Hank downstairs for a word. Renee, still worried from her argument with Paz, reaches out to Wally for advice. He tells her that since Paz is different, she might need to be a little different too. Meanwhile, Sam and Judy drive out to Claire's house. Her shed has a bunch of TVs that she and Sam used to fix up together. Since the TV's cathode ray tubes seem to interfere with the creature's blood, he wants to bring a bunch of them down to the Boroughs. He also confesses to Judy that he's been seeing visions of Lily since he got to the town. And at that moment, Claire suddenly enters the shed. She's upset at Sam's sudden appearance, while he continues to ignore her calls and messages. When he can't explain what's going on, she points out that she lost a mother as well, and storms off. Back home, Renee spots Hank on the security camera footage. She takes a picture of his face and runs a search, and what turns up is a news article from 1975, describing the death of a prison warden named Milton Hauser. Sam and Judy return home, where Wally has set up a dummy of a sleeping person in the bedroom. He has also set up the cerebrospinal fluid in a humidifier to lure the creature out. Now, Sam will set up the TVs and use magnets to direct the cathode ray particles into a narrow beam. So basically like a laser gun. Renee visits Tim Hauser, the son of Milton Hauser, to try and find out more about him. Tim describes Milton as a prison warden who only smiled while hurting people. He says he died in a car crash in 1975 and the body was burned beyond recognition. In one of his photo albums, Renee sees an old picture of Milton with none other than Blaine. Meanwhile, Art loses his spark when he finds Jack's shirt in his closet. He goes to a bar and ends up drinking his sorrows with Annalise, opening up about how he lost Judy's love. Annalise suggests he punish her and take revenge, when suddenly Art begins to convulse and rushes to the bathroom. He seems to be losing the youthfulness that the fruit gave him, and Annalise enters and watches as he collapses and begs for help. At the security office, Paz watches Blaine leave and decides to explore whatever is downstairs. He overhears Hank talking about a scar, a name for a creature maybe, but probably not the lion from The Lion King, as he leaves a locked room. Having stolen Hank's keys from his office earlier, Paz is able to open the door. He's shocked at whatever he sees, but not for long, as Hank tases him and he passes out. At Sam's house, the trap and the dummy are set up. They suddenly start hearing noises from inside the house, which Judy just sealed up. She takes out a gun, her weapon of choice, and walks through the house. In a bedroom, the creature appears above the closet, and they try to turn on the TVs, but it doesn't work, so Judy just simply shoots at the creature instead. She hits it, but the creature escapes through the oven. They open it up to find a hatch leading all the way underground. Episode 5 of The Boroughs begins with Sam, Judy and Wally heading down the secret passage from the oven. This leads to a series of large tunnels, with one tunnel leading to each of their houses. They decide to follow the trail of the creature's blood. Elsewhere, Blaine has a nightmare in which an older Annalise on crutches shows him the dead body of a younger Annalise, who starts to glitch as he watches. When he awakens, Annalise is sleeping next to him as usual. He starts his day by mixing a mysterious golden liquid into his morning juice, and as he heads out, he gets a call from Hank about the situation involving Paz. Hank says he deserves a raise since he's had a lot on his plate. However, Blaine says his portion was agreed upon beforehand and can't be changed. Hank is forced to relent. He takes a sip from a small vial containing the same mysterious golden liquid, which seems to energize him. He goes through Paz's phone and realizes that Renee found the picture of Milton and Blaine from the 70s. Art awakens in the hospital to find Annalise by his bed. She questions him about his appearance and what he may have found in a desert, but he says he just wants to go home. And after she leaves, he checks his pockets and finds the seed of the orange fruit. Hank drops by Renee's house here and she tries to run, but he overpowers her and she passes out. In the tunnels, the trio lose sight of the trail of blood. Sam searches ahead a little more and sees a small puzzle piece, similar to the ones involved in the flashbacks from Lily's death, and the piece begins glitching as he watches, and he tells the others he's found the trail again. And meanwhile, Blaine calls Claire over to the manor and tells her that her father might be getting sick. He seems to successfully sow a piece of doubt in her mind. Somewhere outside the borough, Renee wakes up in the trunk of her own car, next to Paz, as Hank drives. The two start screaming, but Hank simply stops the car and uses a pipe to send exhaust fumes into the trunk. Now in the tunnels, the trio finally find the creature, but it's wounded and in a potable state. Wally wants to try and save it, but Judy shoots it in the head and stops it from suffering more. Sam realizes this was not the same creature that killed Jack, and a flurry of noises prove that there are more creatures who will now come after them. As they start running, Sam sees more visions of Lily in an agitated state, glitching near the creature's body. Art goes looking for the tree again and is shocked to find that the tree has died. No green leaves, no orange fruit, and Annalise is already there. She tells him a story about how this used to be a mining company which ran into the ground until she and her husband bought the place. This was back in the 1940s, and at this point her eyes glow and her voice becomes raspy. She asks Art how he got his useful energy, and he tells her about the peach he ate. He shows her the seed and she grabs it, swallowing it whole. However, she quickly throws up black liquid and her face morphs into something old and wicked. She complains about how she mistakenly thought Art found another way and lunges towards him, but he runs away. When Renee awakens, she finds her hands tied to the car's steering wheel. Hank plans on making this look like a lover's car crash, but she manages to loosen the rope and attack Hank with his own taser. She and Paz jump out while the car and Hank speed right off the cliff. Now Art is trying to find his way through the dark tunnels when Annalise attacks him. His shouts end up reaching Judy, Wally and Sam, who follow the noise and find Annalise over him. Judy shoots her, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. Nevertheless, Annalise leaves after seeing all of them converge on her. Now the whole group drives Art's car back towards the town, And on the way, they find Renee and Paz walking back as well. Now in the desert, someone finds Hank's body, which also features glowing eyes. While sitting in a diner, all the characters tell each other about their findings. Paz tells them the security office has a room full of monsters locked up in cages. They wonder if Blaine and his people are feeding on the monsters, while the monsters are feeding on them. But the problem is, Paz saw Hank drinking a golden liquid while the monster's blood is blue. Another issue is that Wally is going to need his medicine soon. Paz volunteers to go into town and pick them up, since no one apart from Hank knew he was involved. Annalise returns home in a weak and battered state in the middle of all this, and Blaine submerges her in a bathtub full of the golden liquid and promises to punish the people who hurt her. At back of the diner, Art tells Judy that he knows about Jack. The whole group is exiting the diner when they see a group of cars driving towards them. It turns out to be Blaine. Unfortunately, he's found them. Episode 6 of The Boroughs begins with all the characters being taken into the manor. Blaine speaks to Wally and leaves him to speak with the others in the group. Blaine has offered them a deal. They will be allowed to return to their lives as long as they leave the monster hunt, don't tell others what they know, and remain in the borough for the time being. Another condition is that Wally will have to work with Blaine. Wally tells the others they should accept the deal, which also includes a stipulation that the monsters won't feed on them anymore. 3 days later, Seraphim machines are installed in all the houses, and everyone is forced to go about things as normal, but while wearing ankle monitors. Now Wally goes in to his first day at work and is introduced to his team, including Dr. Mansour, who was Wally's doctor. Now Annalise offers him a glass of the golden liquid, and Blaine confirms that this will cure his cancer. He won't age another day. Despite that, Wally refuses, but when Blaine and the others start chanting his name, he drinks the liquid. The wonders of peer pressure. Meanwhile, Sam places his TVs around the oven to attack the creature if it enters the house. All of a sudden, the TV screens show visions of Lily banging on the screen and asking Sam for help. He runs out of the house and meets Art, and when Sam wonders if he can run across the desert and make it to the diner to call Claire for help, Art suggests he keep his nose down. Now at work, Wally speaks to the new head of security, Ernest, and learns that the workers call the creatures kids. One of them, Scar, escaped the facility some time ago. Blaine then directs Wally towards his job, which is treating a specific patient. They take her to see said patient, whom they call Mother. Now back home, Claire leaves her father another voicemail. Neil realises she's troubled about her father, but assures her that she will make the right decision. Elsewhere, Paz finds a way to secretly meet Renee. He tells her that he has a plan for all of them to escape the town during the 75th anniversary celebrations. He gives Renee a walkie-talkie to be able to communicate with him. As Sam goes back home and fiddles with some of his machines, and he finds a way to replicate the signal on his ankle monitor and then cuts it off. Wally comes home to find Renee waiting to see him, and he tells her that Marcus Shaw, now known as Blaine, has found an egg underground which hatched the mother. Drinking her blood allowed Marcus and the others to never age, but the mother and her kids needed a steady flow of cerebrospinal fluid to survive, which is why Marcus and Annalise started the Boroughs. Wally complains about how Blaine and the others aren't using this gift the way it should be. He says he could get rid of disease as they know it, and Renee tells him to throw away those dreams and escape with them, but he doesn't want to. In the back of Judy and Art's house, things finally come to a head. Judy admits she fell in love with Jack, but that it doesn't have to change the future. Art claims that it already has, and that evening Renee sends Judy a message telling her to meet them at Jack's house at midnight. Art doesn't come and Sam isn't home, so it's only Renee, Paz and Judy who meet at the house. But Renee changes the plan. She doesn't want to escape, she actually wants to use the 75th anniversary to sneak inside and get rid of the mother. Take away Blaine's golden goose, in other words. Meanwhile, Sam actually does manage to walk many miles out and reach the diner. He uses the phone there to call Claire for help and tell her to come pick him up. Claire arrives and does so, but she takes him back to the Boroughs and back to Blaine. Sam is shocked, but tells Claire it's okay. Art later sees Claire and Neil near Sam's house and asks what's happened. They say they've had to put Sam in a manor, and the news motivates Art, who now joins hands with Judy and the others. The episode ends with Wally watching one of the creatures putting one of its appendages in a machine, releasing a liquid. Through a series of pipes and machines, the liquid turns golden and enters the body of an old, deformed woman. Episode 7 of The Boroughs begins with Blaine and Annalise getting ready for the 75th anniversary. Annalise is worried because her bullet wound isn't healing with Mother's blood. Blaine assures her that her wound will heal and that Wally will ensure Mother survives. And at the manor, Sam awakens after being sedated for 3 days. The warden tells him that Blaine allowed a few kids to feast on him for breaking the contract. Meanwhile, Paz gets rid of the officers, keeping an eye on the rest of the group. They pile into his car and he cuts off everyone's ankle monitors. At work, Wally suggests the mother has been given so much human cerebrospinal fluid that she's starting to look human. Which means the old deformed woman we saw in the previous episode is actually the mother. He and Dr. Mansoir try to find a cure for her rapid cell degeneration. Kaylee goes to Sam's old house while this is going on and finds Claire still there, trying to understand why her father built a particle accelerator out of old TVs. She switches it on and suddenly Kaylee begins to glitch, her body deforming. She returns to normal though when Claire shuts it off but remains weak and takes her leave. A celebration of sorts ensues at the manor as well, with all the residents feasting on cake. A woman tells Sam that Edward used to escape all the time with help from the Duchess. Sam asks to meet this Duchess and a woman takes her to meet her roommate, who is bedridden and doesn't respond to anything. The woman tells Sam to bring the Duchess a cigarette and she'll tell him what he needs to know. Meanwhile, Wally has a breakthrough. He's realised that adding some of the kids' blood to Mother's blood has helped her cells regenerate. Blaine and Annalise want to start the treatment as soon as possible, but Dr. Mansoir says they need more time. Sam has a go at the karaoke machine, as you do, and sings a Bruce Springsteen song to excite all the residents and get them up and dancing. In the ensuing chaos, he sneaks into the warden's office and finds a pack of cigarettes. When the warden returns, Sam injects him with one of the syringes in the fridge and he passes out. Outside the manor, Paz and the others get into action. Paz and Art distract the guards and allow Judy and Renee to enter the place. Now inside, Sam brings the Duchess her cigarette and she tells him that the visions of Lily are actually the mother trying to reach out for help. She speaks to the Duchess as well, generally in the form of a loved one, and the Duchess explains that Sam's grief split his mind, which allowed Mother to get in touch with him. Sam wants revenge for Jack's death, but the Duchess says that saving the mother is the only way to save his friends. He must choose between anger and forgiveness. When he says he just wants to leave, she tells him to take the 5:15 bus. Sam sits by the fake bus stop in the middle of the manor, and at exactly 5:15, a nurse enters the common area through an exit door. Said door stays open long enough though for Sam to go through. Now in the meantime, Judy and Renee search for Sam. They come out to the common area just in time to see him leaving. They then make a plan to steal a key card from one of the nurses so they can leave as well. Elsewhere, Wally gets a shock when he sees that Blaine has killed Dr. Mansoir for refusing to start the treatment. He describes how his wife suffered from polio and tells Wally that he wants a transfusion to start immediately. Sam is escaping through a hallway when a scream from the mother tears through the air. He collapses and the warden catches him. He's dragging Sam back when Renee and Judy arrive and knock him out. While Paz is manning the lobby of the manor, Claire storms in. She knows her father was telling the truth and demands that they release him. And at the same time, Renee and the others trigger an alarm. The whole place goes into lockdown, including the lobby. They all pile into the van and drive away. Renee says the next step is to kill a monster, but Sam corrects her. He says they're going to save one. The episode then ends with Wally approaching the mother and telling her it's time to go. Episode 8 of The Boroughs begins with Sam explaining to the others why they need to save the mother. That's when Wally calls Renee and tells her that he's done something. He's actually kidnapped Mother. They turn the car around and head back towards the community centre. At back of the lab, Annalise is furious at Blaine for losing Mother, but he assures her that he will find her. Meanwhile, Wally wheels Mother through the crowd for the 75th anniversary, trying to cover her with a shawl and hat. He finally manages to get Mother to the community centre, where the others are waiting for them. In the town square, Blaine steps up for his big speech for the anniversary. But something shifts and he starts talking about growing old and how things end. Now at the community centre, the group discuss what to do next. Wally wants to use the mother and her blood to get rid of disease and death. But Mother communicates with Sam and tells him that she wants to die. She says her kids have been prepping for this moment and she needs to get to the underground tree. Renee tells Wally that even if he were alive through Mother's blood, he wouldn't be himself. He finally relents. Now that they're all agreed, They decide to use the tunnels under the oven to get Mother to the tree, and at that moment, Blaine and his cronies arrive. Judy and Art stay behind to stall them while the others go down. Now in the tunnels, the mother points towards her kids and says she wants to rescue them. Paz and Renee decide to free them while the rest head towards the tree. Now upstairs, Annalise stabs Judy in order to get Art to start talking. He admits that the others are in the tunnels. Now Paz and Renee make it to the cages with the kids, but don't have the key that unlocks the control panel. What's worse, Hank is there. Burnt and broken up but still alive, but he doesn't actually fight them. Instead, Renee is able to convince him to get back at Blaine by helping them. He agrees and gives them the key to the control panel. Now Blaine and Annalise trap Sam and the others by triggering metal doors and blocking the tunnels. Sam realises that Blaine is luring them into a trap, but they don't have a choice, so they take the one passage that isn't blocked. They head back up to Sam's house where they make their stand. Claire tells Sam how she fixed the issues with his TV particle accelerator, which they can use as a weapon. When Blaine and his people arrive, Wally unlocks the door to reveal all the TVs. The accelerator works, trapping Blaine and Annalise and tearing into them. Annalise explodes into light while Blaine collapses and falls to the ground. Attention then turns to Judy, who's bleeding out. The TVs have fried everyone's phones and they can't call for help. Wally examines her and says she's out of time, and she and Art reminisce about some good times until Judy closes her eyes. That's when Mother approaches and places her palm over Judy's wound, healing it up. Judy awakens. Mother asks Sam to take her to the cave, but she insists he go alone. He bids everyone goodbye and drives Mother to the cave. Unfortunately, we then see that Blaine isn't dead yet. By the time Sam gets Mother to the cave, Blaine is there as well and attacks Sam. Sam realises that Mother is going to blow herself up and holds Blaine down, telling Mother to go ahead. She gathers the children around her and explodes. Sam awakens in his final memory with Lily, but this time it's real. Lily says this is Mother's way of saying thank you, and they share one last dance together. As Sam awakens in the cave to see the dead bodies of Blaine and Mother around him, and Renee and Paz arrive there and help him up. He says Mother is at peace now. The Boroughs then ends with the group all together again, healthy and happy. Sam, Claire and his friends all have dinner together, and Paz and Renee have a big trip to Europe planned, while Judy and Art are getting along once again. While Sam fixes up his head injury in the bathroom, his reflection in the mirror begins to glitch. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.